Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Today I thought I would reveal the different asset categories that we are invested in our IRAs. Now this video will not cover my 401k and the assets I have in there, because that's mainly cash that we're using for the next 3 or 4 years. And that does not include our multi-year guaranteed annuity that we purchased to get us through the next 10 years or so after my cash in my 401k. So this is essentially just our IRA portion. This is the money that we have with our financial advisor. This is the money that we have him manage and move consistent with the computer programming that his magic will spit out to stay within our risk tolerances and that type of thing. So that's what this video is all about, is just the 3 IRAs that we have with our financial advisor. So first off, I have my wife's IRA, which we got out and when she retired in 2019. So that's why we call it hers, because it's in her name. It's from her retirement and whatnot. That is 14% of our total IRA portfolio. Now it is invested in 32% is large cap blend, 28% is international developing markets, 15% of this is in intermediate bonds. 6% is small cap blend stock, and 5% is mid cap blend. 4% is in emerging markets. 4% is short bonds. 3% is REITs, real estate trust, something like that. Real estate investment trust, I think, is what that is. 2% it says high yield, and honestly, I really don't know what that is. I'm going to say high yield bonds, but it just says high yield here on the computer. And then 1% is cash. Now, I will say with my wife's IRA, this is the money that we're going to use. So the plan is to use my cash and what I have in my 401k, and anything that I'm going to need from the time that basically runs out until the time I'm 59 and a half, we're going to use my wife's IRA money. And so we're going to, of the 3 IRAs that we have, we're going to use hers first. And so that's why it's set up perhaps quite differently than my other 2 IRAs that we're not going to need long term. Because I will say that we probably will be using my wife's IRA probably 4 or 5 years away from the day that I make this video. So anyway, that's where my wife's IRA is invested. Now, moving forward, in my traditional IRA, which represents 36% of my total IRA portfolio, 26% of that is large cap, 24% is international developing markets, 11% is large cap value, and 11% is short bonds. I'm saying that short-term bonds, I'm sorry. 9% is small cap blend funds. 8% is mid-cap blend funds. Now, that's just the size of the different companies that are in those categories, whether it's a small cap, a large cap, or a mid-cap. I'm not for sure what those cutoffs are. I'm sure it's maybe arbitrary, but you understand. 5% is internationally emerging markets. 2% is REITs, that's the real estate investment trust. And then 2% of my traditional is in cash. And then for my Roth, which is roughly 50% of my overall IRA portfolio, 32% is in international developing markets, 15% is in large cap, 13% is in short bonds, 13% is also in large cap value, 9% is in small cap value, 7% is in mid cap value, 5% is in international emerging markets, 4% is in REITs, the REITs, and then 2% is cash. And so I'm just showing you where we're at. Again, this is all based off of our risk tolerances and the questions that were presented through my financial advisor software. When we first had our meeting, when we really started to turn stuff over to him and really got serious about it, we went through this computer program, the different questions that it answered or asked, and the answer. Then the investment portfolio was kind of devised from those questions that was asked in that first that one of those meetings. And so based off that, this is what the computer magic said that we need to be invested in. And then they monitor this each month. So they're going to monitor my account each month to see if we are still in the parameters that we set with that initial meeting. Now, that's not to say that we can't go back and have another meeting and maybe our risk tolerances has changed. Maybe they've went up and we can take more risk. And so that we can go through that program again and he can adjust our investment portfolio depending on where we're at in that questionnaire. And the same way, if we don't want as much risk, then we can always go back and take much risk. But the fact is, the program, based on the questions or the answers that we gave to the questions, this kind of gave a guideline for him to then invest. And they've been working on that since we turned everything over to them sometime last August of 2024. And so again, I've talked a lot about my financial advisor. We're very pleased with how he's doing. And right now, honestly, I mean, other than just checking our portfolio each month, I mean, it is kind of on cruise control. But I don't want to change anything with my relationship with him until I'm certain that I've got my feet under me for my retirement, so that I really have an understanding of what's going on. And then perhaps maybe in a year or two, maybe then I'm going to change so that I'm not paying him based on the 1% or so fee that I'm paying him, but I'll be paying him on a different schedule. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but I'm just saying right now I feel very comfortable with where I'm at with my financial advisor holding and managing my accounts the way he is now. And I don't intend to change that for another year or two. And so I know I'm going to get some comments that I shouldn't be using an advisor and all that. I understand that. You do you and I'll do me. But this is where we're at for now. I know this is a lot of numbers and may not mean anything to anybody, but for somebody that's really wanting to know where I'm invested and how it's invested and how that all came about, why hopefully this video helps. I do want to remind you before I close it, I do have a phone number. If you want to get a hold of me for something personal that you don't want to necessarily say publicly, that number is 618-608-0152. You can text me, just include your name and where your location, where you're from, so I kind of have some idea of who I'm speaking with. But you can always leave a comment, which I appreciate those. I appreciate all the likes and the subscriptions, and I do appreciate that. You really helped me out in that regard. But anyway, I'm going to close. This has been a lot of numbers and a lot of rambling, but hopefully this makes sense to some of you. And with that, I'll close. I'll say God bless, and I'll see you in the next video. Maybe my button will work.